Satnam. This video we will explore spinal twists. These are some of the most profound movements, and I'd probably say that about everything we do, profound, because that's what I find something in them. Now, this is a good example of a posture that I do where I'm actually compromised from a long ago gymnastic injury where I broke the elbow. I am not actually able to bring this hand on my shoulder. That doesn't mean I can't get many benefits from this. So, when you see me not touching this, now you know why. Okay, but before we actually get into this, let's reestablish our connection to the earth. Take your hands and pull apart those cheeks so that your sitting bones are positioned. Remind you again, if you need a lift, keep it close by. Whether you're doing spinal twists in your version of easy pose, open like that or closed, or in some cases we'll do them on our sitting on our heels in rock pose, Vajrasana. But for now, let's just explore it here. To do this well, again, an appropriate amount of engagement so your sits bones are connected. This is up, shoulders down, head in position. This is just how I approach it. Bring my arms out, in. Again, that one's not going to touch. And when we twist, inhale left, we want to have our head, heart, and navel turned together. Okay? So I really think of it moving like an axle, and the engine room is down in here. It gets some support above it, of course. I pull my chin in with just a small amount of the Jalandhar Bandh. And classically, we're going to inhale left, exhale right. There may be some exceptions out there. Now, here's something to bear in mind. If we can get ourselves to lift up higher off this bottom down here, we will have far more ease, leverage for turning. If we're here, well, one is we're not going to be able to rotate down toward the pelvis, which is such important real estate. So when we push down and lift up, we'll have greater access. So here it is. Inhale left, exhale right. You may want to close your eyes. Maybe you just want to relax your eyes closed. Generally speaking, if your eyes are open, it tends to want to keep your head from being a participant, because if your head moves like this, you tend to get dizzy. There's no specific drishti, generally speaking, but if there is, adhere to whether it's the third eye or somewhere else. Okay, again, engage up, shoulders down, chin in slightly. A sense that you're turning from the bottom and that you're turning from the inside pathway, which means try to imagine that you're twisting your spine. It's not happening from the outside in. It's moving from the inside out. Inhale left, exhale right. And the more you can engage the bottom, the greater the range of motion. Just to give you an example, if you were here, I'm on the back part of my sit bones, my spine's a bit collapsed. I don't have nearly the range. Not only that, if I push it, I'm actually starting to feel a bit of a stress and a strain in my lower back. So, remember our friend the spinal flex? Come up. Up. This is the position you want to be in. It's to your advantage to be not just on top, but just ever so slightly on the front side of your sit bones. Hold that position. Again, if you're in that position, it's going to require a bit of support here. If you were right on the sit bones and more relaxed, you wouldn't need as much. But for the twist, because you want to take full advantage of the range that you can get, you're going to be slightly to the front, And then inhale, exhale. I'll show you from the side. Again, it's really close to the top of the spinal flex, but in the spinal twist, inhale, exhale. Hint of a smile. Now, you don't want to be so stiff that you're straining yourself to hold your head in alignment. If there's a little bit of movement, it's okay. But really, you want all three of these operating in synchronicity with each other. Okay? Holding that alignment. As you get deeper into the practice, you may actually be able, with your eyes closed, to have a sense that you are riding on the seat of your own heart center. That's just some creative play with your inner experience. When you're first learning it, just pay attention to the geometry. When you can stop thinking about holding the architecture and just flow with it, there are many creative things you can do with your inner vision, your breath, your devotion, your devotional mantras, etc. Okay, that is the spinal flex done here. It's also done, this is a good opportunity to explain Vajrasana. Okay, in Vajrasana, rock pose. It's funny how they name these asanas after common things like rocks and birds and dogs, chairs, boats, etc. In this posture, because you have a much easier time lifting up off the pelvis, it lends itself, whether it's a spinal flex or a spinal twist, you're going to have a little more range of motion with it. But you're going to have less grounding stability because guess what? You're moving. You know, this is not as stable as having the sit bones. So there's this dance between the room you have and keeping it stable. It's more commonly done in easy pose, but I can think of a few where we actually do this. It's in one of my favorite kriyas, which is the sound current kriya. It's in the manual, the heart rules. You're actually going to do spinal twists in rock pose, Vajrasana. By the way, in rock pose, you don't want to be here, but for the most part, you don't want to be all the way there. You're going to find that magical spot for you. It's somewhere in here. Each person, depending on the nature of their structure and their flexibility, but definitely you don't want to be here. And certainly don't want to be there. So that spot in between. Now, I tend to do rock pose with my toes crossed. Some people don't. Toes crossed, knees a little apart. If you're doing this, I don't find this very useful to have my knees together for this. There are some other variation where you might, but generally speaking, I think about a fist apart is about correct for doing this, whether it be twists or other postures, which we're going to get to. Okay, that's the basics for spinal twists, Satnam.